Okay, go on.
And we'll let everyone come in. Sorry to keep on waiting. I promise it wasn't a tech glitch or anything like that, and we're not still trying to solve it, but I didn't want to leave everyone waiting, so I'm going to just talk a load of nonsense, and I'm going to make sure that... Can you put a comment in the comment section, guys, if you can hear us nice and clearly? Spring is here, and how cool. Hopefully the weather is really nice where you are, because it is absolutely stunning here. Comments, anyone? Yes, Craig, welcome to the party. How's everyone's mark, by the way? Interestingly, I love a stamp duty deadline, I've decided, because it's like Christmas all over again. It seems like everyone is finally aligned. You know, like Christmas, December completions, everyone's like, my solicitor's on board, seller's on board, buyer's on board. Everyone's like, we've got this deadline. And so loads of sales come in. And I think March is the same. Everyone's pushing. I think we're going to have probably our best month ever with around 200 grand's worth of revenue, which is insane. So from a tight little team. How you getting on, Reg? You got them?
Good. I was waiting for Kate to think. I think I might be able to just let me see if I can. Why is it doing that? Let me see if I can just share.
Yeah. And on.
Are you recording, Perry? Have you hit the record button?
Yes, it's recording. Live at 5. And this, I think the timing of this innovation or extinction is really important, because we discovered some really upsetting data, and we want to reverse it for ourselves and for the industry. So
I'm sharing now, Mr. Power.
Go, Reg. Yes.
Brilliant. Okay, we are sharing. Fantastic. So, what a great opportunity. The sun is shining. 45 minutes to get to the balcony of our business, and I think this is a really important session, innovation or extinction. And of course, you know from the work that Perry and I do, a lot of ours is about putting you in the driver's seat, and I am a firm believer that how are we masters of our own destiny? So the choice is yours. And I always remember a good friend of mine saying to me, he said, Royston, what you find out in a challenging marketplace is the business leaders who are running well-run businesses and the business leaders who are really on the front foot, thinking and challenging their relevance every single day. And I think just going into the mindset for the next hour, Perry and I, that's really important. Innovation or extinction, the choice is yours. So should we talk about these stats first, Perry? Because these just help kind of frame, don't they?
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone's used the OpenAI deep research tool, but it's incredible. Play with it; it's unreal. And I just kind of wanted to put in there, like, what's the main challenges at the minute faced by independent estate agents, because that's what we want to focus on. And it churned that out, which is alarming. Those 4 things are alarming. And don't get me wrong, like 4,000 agencies shut down since 2018. We were far away from that in 2018, actually, but we managed to navigate our way through it with the help of Royston. And so these are really important to get those on your forehead so that we can avoid being one of those numbers. And that market share, market share, fine. The 20% fee drop in 5 years is scary, because we don't, agencies in general don't operate on 70% margins or 50% margins, because it's a service business. So, and you'll see a post in the Facebook group that I put out in January, which is really interesting. And I looked at the last 3 years in our business, and our average fee in that period had increased 20%. So that was quite telling that the norm is dropping fees, which I think is your quickest way to go bust.
And guys, we're honing in on the figures here from an estate agency perspective, but as many of you will know, we operate from a pathways perspective across so many different industries or sectors, and so many sectors are challenged at the moment. And I go back to the point that I made earlier. This is when you really find out who are running well-run businesses, who've got the right people on the team, the leaders that are really creating that growth mindset where they're not burying their heads in the sand. And the one constant that I think we've got to absolutely be mindful of is that change is not going to slow down anytime soon. And there was a new word that came into the English dictionary in 2023, which was a permacrisis. And a permacrisis, by definition, said what we have got is one major event that seems to be just continually happening, whether it's inflationary pressures, whether it's a war in Ukraine, whether it's a change of government, whether it's a swing from the left to the right, whether it's tariffs that are going on. There is so much uncertainty. And the question for me is, how do you set your business up to thrive in an environment where there is so much uncertainty? Because that is not going to change anytime soon. And for me, a guiding principle that's really important from Perry and I for this session is control the controllable. And everything we're going to talk about for the next 45 minutes is within your gift to really think about how do you control the controllable. And you know, the world is littered with case studies of businesses who have missed this shift that we're talking about today from innovation to extinction. And every single day, one question that in my mind should be consuming our very existence that we're asking ourselves when we wake up in the morning is, how relevant are we? And how do we future-proof our relevance? How do we future-proof our relevance as an industry in terms of a state agency? How do we future-proof our relevance in terms of a business that is the best in class, that in our area, when people think about who is the exemplar of best practice, where is the leading businesses and leading authorities, do they instantly think of you? And I think the relevance question is so important and multifaceted. How relevant are you for your clients and customers right now? How relevant are you as a business? How relevant are you as a leader in running your business? Because the difference between being on the left-hand side and the right-hand side on these examples here is a thin line. And you look at some of those that are exemplars. I mean, Blockbuster is a classic. Over 5 years, the board of Blockbuster 3 times had the opportunity to buy Netflix. And they turned it down because they said the future of video is not in streaming, it's not in downloads. You know, where are Blockbuster today and where is Netflix? That was an important lesson that they learned to their peril. Woolworths, if I'm 52 years of age, so I remember Woolworths was about pick and mix and singles records. You know, Woolworths ended up being everything to everybody and ended up being nothing to anyone. It lost its identity. It didn't know what its relevance was in the marketplace, and therefore it lost its way. You know, mobile phones, Nokia was the mobile phone. Most people, I'm sure, will have had a Nokia phone at some point in their lives. You know, now it's about Samsung or Apple. But Nokia was the leader in the marketplace. It was so far out there in terms of owning the mobile phone marketplace. How did it lose its way? No, it didn't innovate. It didn't reinvent itself. It got complacent. It got lazy. And then you flip it over and look at the businesses on the right-hand side. No, they are constantly innovating. They're constantly building their business outside in, not inside out. They've got the customer as the focal point of everything that they do. They're constantly thinking about their value proposition. Their brands are fresh. They are relevant. And the reality is some of those businesses on the right-hand side, they will veer over into left-hand side. You know, because of what Musk is doing in America at the moment, Tesla, you could argue, when you look at their market share in February, would actually be moving on to the left-hand side. They are diving at the moment. So every single day, Perry, jump in on this point. I think that question about if there's one thing you take away from today's session, it's this. In fact, there's 2 things. One, how do you set your business up to operate in a state of change readiness, where change culturally is seen as a friend, not a foe? It's an opportunity, not a threat. The glass is definitely half full, not half empty. And within that change readiness mindset, how do you really focus on control the controllable? There are absolutely going to be things that are outside your circle of influence. But my question for you is, are you doing everything that you can control to be a master of your own destiny? And then the other piece of the jigsaw with that is every single day when you're going through the playbook of the day in your mind, as a leader, ask yourself that question. How relevant are we for our customers today? How relevant are we as a business? How relevant am I as a leader in attracting the right people and building a high performance team and setting ourselves up for success? So even from the first 10 minutes of this session, I think they are 3 really practical golden nuggets, takeaways that you could take from this session.
I think as you were talking there, I wrote some notes down, and I think this is really important too, tying in with that whole relevance piece, because if you're talking about relevance, obviously that means that you're going to have to be changing all of the time to keep up with a super fast-paced world now. And that ties in, so then it comes into innovation, right? How best do you innovate? So
Yep.
then I kind of thought the next step from that is experience. You'll know you've been to boot camps that we're massive fans of. You're not an estate agency, you're in the experience economy, creating an experience for people. And
Yeah.
but then the next step of that, which I think where we've innovated fairly well over the last few years, is around convenience. With Uber, with Deliveroo, with I had no sugar the other day and it was at my door within 30 minutes. Like, it's just the world's becoming impatient. So what can you do around those 3 things? Innovation, experience creation, and convenience. And that ties in with, like, if you're not operating WhatsApp groups yet, that's huge, because that's a hugely convenient thing for clients to have Mr. Mrs. 16-year-old son, their agent, their agent assistant, their viewing assistant, all on one page in a WhatsApp group. It makes for a really incredible communication experience. Something so simple like that. So that's my little takeaway from that. Think about those 3 things: innovation, experience creation, and convenience. And audit yourself, audit your business on that. How easy are you to do business with? That comes back to, let me just go on some more on this because I think it's quite important. So that comes on to things like a big innovation that we made is that our internal team never answer inbound phone calls because they're very distracting. Whether they're a valuation advice meeting call or not, they're still distracting somebody from the thing they were focusing on. And we switched to closed on Saturdays. So our agents are available Monday to Fridays, but we became more convenient and we opened up Saturday and Sundays for by appointment only, for pre-booked appointments. So little things like that. Just think deep as to how you can make yourself more convenient for your team as well. Let's not forget that, for your team, for your people, which I'm sure we're going to come on to.
And I think people get hung up on this word innovation, Perry, where they think innovation has to be massive, game-changing things. It doesn't. Actually, the most important innovations that you will do in your business are the small things that you do to innovate a system or a process. I'll give you a really simple example, and I got this from you, Fixer.ai. I now, for all my coaching sessions online, I just Fixer AI follows me around everywhere. It transcribes every conversation, every call that I have. It makes it far easier to do the notes after a session. It aligns to my emails and allows me to do emails and will now pick up the draft style of my voice and so forth. It probably saves me, I would say, an hour a day just by using Fixer.ai. So sometimes you think innovation doesn't have to be massive things. It can be the small things, but the multiplying effect of a number of small innovations can have a massive compounding effect. So one thing I would challenge your team to do as well is, next week, come up with one innovation that's going to help them to be better, smarter, do their roles more effectively in terms of what they do. And you've got to make innovation part of your daily culture and stuff that you talk about on a regular basis.
Just on that Fixer AI as well, forgetting the fact that it pre-drafts your replies to your emails in your tone and keeps them in draft, forgetting the fact that it records and takes notes of all your meetings so it learns your tone of voice even more. One great thing for estate agents in a day-to-day operation is it automatically creates drafts for emails that you've sent that you're awaiting a response from. And it will kind of put a draft in saying, this person was supposed to come back to you, they haven't. Here's a draft follow-up email. Great for a estate agency if you're trying to follow up a buyer for feedback or something like that. And it's, and it can be minor stuff. I wrote another thing down here as well, that a great innovation that we've put in place, which we'll talk about probably more in a minute, but we've productized our expertise. So we charge buyers £500 for an hour to have them pick an expert's brain on buying a property and how to negotiate it and stuff like that. It's there slapping you in the face. You've got 20 years of experience. Time isn't free. Of course, we'll help people arrange viewings of properties that we have for sale. But when you switch your mind from from a selling agent to an estate agent, and you think, how else can I help people and get paid well? Book a call with me for 500 quid, and I'll take you through how to find off-market properties if you can't find anything on market. So just little tweaks.
Love it. So here, picking up on Perry's point there, here's a really simple idea that you could do, and I've seen a number of my clients do this, that in your office somewhere, put a whiteboard on the wall and call it your innovation whiteboard, and put 2 questions on it. How do we make it easier for customers to do business with us? And how do we make it easier for our team to do business with our customers? And against those 2 questions, get the team on a regular basis, every time they think about an idea, an innovation, a small or big, get them to put it on the innovations whiteboard. And what you then start to do is create a culture where people start to come up with ideas about how we streamline, how we are better, how we are smarter at what we do. Because the definition of insanity, guys, is doing the same things and expecting a different result. The 7 most expensive words in business are because we've always done it that way. And, you know, to be relevant, to be innovating, we've got to be looking at those changes that we're doing on a regular basis to make ourselves more relevant, more agile, more resilient in what we do as businesses.
So another little tweak that you should be doing is I'm a massive fan of this, but that's increasing your geo patch, your geographic patch that you cover. We go a lot deeper on this in boot camps and stuff, but why would you scrap for 0.8% in your town? We've just sold a house, £1.5 million at 1.75%, but it was an hour drive away. Oh dear. So most days you're like, oh, I can't cover that. It's a bit too far off patch. You ain't got a patch. You've got experience, you've got expertise, you've got negotiation ability. The patch is however big you decide it to be. So that's really important as well. Think just rip up the rule book. I'm quite good at that, I suppose, but why has it been like that? It doesn't need to be moving forward.
There's a great quote, and funnily enough, I just come from an exec coaching session with one of my clients, and we were talking about this quote. If the pace of change externally is faster than your pace of change internally, you've got a big problem. And I just love that quote because I think it's so relevant. If the pace of change externally is faster than the pace of change internally, you've got a big problem. We've got to be constantly innovating. And if you want an example of it, I'm not going to share this, but I put it up there because if you go and type on Google the rise and fall of Blockbuster, you will find this video. And literally, Blockbuster went bust in 2005. And at the time, there were 5,734 stores just in America alone. And what the video shows is the demise that when the moment they went bust and the clock started, how they all closed really quickly. And Blockbuster went from being a dominant force in that marketplace to being completely irrelevant and extinct literally within days. And that's the difference. The world is moving so fast today. You will lose your relevance really quickly, which is why I think that relevance question should be a daily question that you're asking. So what Perry and I wanted to do today was make it really practical. We love this rhythm of 3. The human mind has got the capacity to be able to deal with 3 things. So we wanted to give you, we've already probably got a load of strategies that you've taken away and hope you're making notes feverishly. But what we have drilled it down into 3 ways to avoid extinction. I'm going to bounce with some of them. Perry's going to jump in. The first one for me is the who first principle. And what's the who first principle about? I wish I'd learned this earlier in my business career. I probably really started to hunt and find this principle over the last 5 years. If I'd have known it at the early stages, I would have avoided a lot of trial and error, and I would probably have had greater business success far quicker. And the who first principle is almost irrelevant. And when I think about the team that we've got at Power Agency now, there's Perry and I who have got a really unique formula in terms of our experiences. Perry is absolutely phenomenal and world-class in the estate agency market. You know, I bring the breadth of experience of being across so many different industries. The 2 of us together bring a really unique formula for estate agency, and that's why we're so passionate about the Power Agency. We've got Kate, who joined us recently, who is phenomenal, head of client growth, working with clients, understanding what they need. We've got Jane, who's phenomenal in the back of the office, being the sweeper that keeps us all on track. We've got Helene, who's there from an EA perspective. We've got Steph, who is a 350 grand banking agent. We'll talk more about that later. So the who first principle is this. get the right people on the bus first. And it almost becomes irrelevant. You know, we just so happen to be putting a lot of our time, energy, and focus into the estate agency market because we love the industry. We think there's a massive opportunity for independent estate agency, and we want to really help business leaders and agents to build smarter, better businesses that serve their customers better than ever. And in the process of doing that, they will reap all the benefits and rewards. So the who first principle, though, is simply this, that I know I could take Perry, Kate, Jane, Steph, Helene, and we could go and point ourselves at any industry or sector, and we could go and make it a success. Because it's not necessarily about the industry or sector, it's about the people. And when you get the right people with the right skill set that come together, the strength of the team is the individual team members. The strength of the individual team members is the team. So I'm a massive believer that more businesses need to focus on the who first principle, which is, have I got the right people on the bus? And in the goal of what we're trying to achieve with this, it's this, that get the right people on the bus. And it's not just about their technical skills. It's about their cultural fit. It's about the size of their growth mindset. It's about their appetite to challenge themselves to be the best they can be every single day. It's about them being their own performance coach. It's about them not needing to be managed, that they lead and are architects of their own destiny. And if you get the right people on the bus and you get the right team together, then you can go point the bus in any direction and you can make a real difference. So get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus. And I meet so many businesses that have just got the wrong people. And this is even more important, guys, in a small team. Because if you've got the wrong person on the bus who is toxic, who is negative, who is demonstrating the wrong behaviors, they will infect and pollute everybody else. They drag the rest of the team down. So get the right people on the bus, get the wrong people off the bus, and get the right people in the right seats doing the right things. Perry and I talk about it all the time. Play to people's strengths and compensate for their weaknesses. The great thing that we've done in building our high performance team at Power Agency and at Pathways is we have brought in players who have got different strengths in different areas. And where people have got strengths, others have got weaknesses. But together, the power of the whole compensates. But the power of the whole is so strong in then achieving what we want to achieve. So get the right people in the right seats doing the right things and spend more time playing to people's strengths. Don't try and get people to be everything to everybody. Get them to play to their strengths, understand what they do well, and just get them to do that and be out there doing and being world class. And this is where I think it's really important that the future of the independent estate agency is the hybrid of how you blend the people expertise with technology. And by that, I mean, how do you make sure that your people resource that you've got, which is one of your most expensive assets, are doing what only they can do? So, for example, with your team and your who are out there, the Stephs of the world who are 350 banking agents, what are the 5 things that Steph can only do? Going out there doing the advice meetings, listing the properties, negotiating, doing onward negotiation, the buyer service. All the rest you want to automate the hell out of. And I think that's a really important point. You've got to get your people assets to be focused on the right things and then automate the rest of the stuff through technology and process innovation.
Yeah, love that. So that ties in loads with the structure. We'll no doubt talk about more in other events, but like Steph's quite unique in that, I mean, she's already banked 55 grand this year so far, and we're on the 7th of March, and she's got £161,000 sales agreed pipeline. I mean, run the numbers on that. That's going to probably come out at nearer 400 grand this year. One agent, not an office, one person. And but what's interesting is we've created the environment for someone like that to flourish. Don't hold back, and that's the leader culture, which is a whole nother discussion. But she's got a part-time office booking assistant, so that's great. Keeps her freed up from having to deal with loads of incoming property inquiries. She's got Kelly, her assistant. She's got a full-time viewing assistant team doing her viewings. And here's the really unique thing about high-performing agents. I said to Steph, "Do you want me to get you a sales progressor?" And she was like, "Absolutely no way." I was like, "Why?" She was like, because I want to make sure these deals go through as quickly as possible. And she said it was interesting because when I looked at to bring on team members or add on support to allow more productivity, efficiency, she said to me, we want the person dealing with that loses the most if it goes wrong, if it falls through. And I'm like, you're totally right. There's me just trying to, bit of a volume play. If we can get all your deals into someone else to progress, she's like, no chance, because I'm the one that loses out the most if they cock it up, basically. So back onto the tech piece, right? Because that's a whole nother discussion about what we call the BOSS, the business operating system. But I wanted to share this quickly. So a piece of tech, Royston spoke about people. I've never had a smaller team in our business, and we've never been so productive and efficient and profitable. That's an interesting one, isn't it? I fell in the trap of more people means bigger, better businesses. Far from the truth. In fact, it led me to a breakdown, and it was a nightmare. So, but a piece of tech that really helps enable your people is called Office Vibe. We use it for 5 years. It's absolutely incredible. What this basically does is it's your Net Promoter Score. It's a piece of tech that automatically will have a temperature check in with all your team, whether they're in the agents group or they're in the ops/viewing team, and it rates you and tests their temperature with alignment to the brand, satisfaction, wellness, happiness, blah, blah, blah. And it's a great way for them to be anonymous in giving their feedback. Was there another slide on there, Reg, or not, of the screen grab of the kind of feedback?
No.
I sent it, but it might have been fine. What it also gives, I wanted to show some real life from this morning, actually, the latest pulse survey, and this is what it's called, test the pulse of your team ultimately. I don't know if that's a good word, actually. Are they still alive or not? But it's a great way of, we had some feedback to say, what more could the business do to enable you is one of our it's all templated standard questions. And the reply was absolutely nothing. I feel extremely equipped to do the best I can do. So I love all that. And it's all anonymous. This is the really important part of it. Piece of tech, get set up, add all your team. Every month, it just works. Every month I log in to see what Jamie actually now, who's our kind of operations manager, she'll look and see what's dropped, what's gone up, what needs attention. Maybe people's personal growth has gone down, and we'll address that with them directly. So that's a great bit of tech to really show your team that you care, because you really do. But obviously, in a leader culture, you don't want to be on the phone to them every day, every week, having meetings for meeting's sake. You want to address when there's a problem and they need help. And this allows you to do that. It's awesome.
And go back to the point that we talked about. People are one of your greatest assets that will either catapult you forward in realizing your goals and ambitions, or they will set you back in your ambitions of where you're trying to take your business. So these kind of tools and the pulse survey that you're doing on a regular basis. And if you're thinking, that's great if you've got 50, 100 or 150 people in the business. No, when you've got a team of 5 or 10, this is even more important that you do this stuff, because every single person has got to count. And Perry's point is absolutely right. I, for years, have tried to really focus on get the right people with you, get small, elite, high-performance team, outsource the other stuff that is not your expertise and specialism. But it's amazing when you get less is more, and you get the right people in the right seats doing the right things with the right cultural alignment, how I always believe a team of 5 or 10 people can do the equivalent of what 20 or 30 could do, because you've got no politics going on. There's no game playing. There's no silos. Everybody's pointed in the same direction, aligned behind a common vision and purpose, focused, doing what they do best in their lane, adding value, making a difference, having fun, and supporting each other. So Pulse is a really powerful tool.
And if you've been to boot camps or whatever, you'll know we talk a lot about the business operating system, and it's things like the cultural fit, measures that matter. You're not only is your Net Promoter Score from a client perspective the most important metric that you should be managing externally. You get your NPS score, so that's your employee, it stands for, but your team Net Promoter Score. And yeah, looks like we can improve with relationship with manager. Looks like 8.9 is the lowest score, because I've had to I've had to crack some eggs over the last couple of months. But the ultimate thing is everyone's really proud to work with us, and the Net Promoter Score is 100. I know I can almost predict how some of these scores are going to go when I know I've got to make some potential changes for the benefit of the whole. And some people aren't going to like it. Some people are. That's, I guess, business leadership that I've become happier about at times. I want to please everyone, but now you end up pleasing no one. So yeah, it's a really good, the alignment piece, the alignment piece is really high, which I love. The ambassadorship, that's really important. You might not be 100% happy all the time with your company you're with, but as long as you trust and you're a good ambassador for them, that's all we can ask for as business leaders, right?
And Perry, if I look at the Scaling Up program that we ran last year with all the estate agency businesses run that, one of the things that came out loud and clear about what are the top things that people created, landed, and nailed in their businesses last year was the whole thing about the culture decks and how we helped them create their culture decks. And I don't think businesses put enough time and effort and focus on really being clear about articulating what the to-be culture is that they're trying to create. And the clearer you are on the culture and how you bring that to life and how you make it tangible, I guarantee one thing, the less problems you will have in your people strategy. So the culture, the whole culture deck is massive. You talked about the BOSS, the business operating system. In terms of the second key golden nugget, I think is really important because this is practical. And as I say, Perry and I wanted to give you some things that you could go off today's session with that you could instantly go back, which will help you to future-proof your relevance, help you to innovate, and help you to optimize every market opportunity that you've got. And part of the business operating system is this whole concept. This is one of the 9 interlocking jigsaws around what is your compelling value proposition. Now, you might go, Royce, and that sounds like fancy words. Is that consultants speak? But let me break it down for you, because when you think about compelling value proposition, each of those words are really important. So number one, when you think about compelling and look at what compelling means, the English dictionary definition, the bit that I want to draw your attention to is the bit about having a powerful and irresistible effect. When you and your team are in the living room, is your brand and your team having a compelling, irresistible effect where it almost becomes a no-brainer that the client or customer goes, I'm just going to choose you because you are outstandingly the best at what you do. Your passion comes through loud and clear. I look in the whites of your eyes and I trust you. And what you're talking about comes across with conviction, authority, and power. And I just believe you're going to be the best person to help me sell my house and help me do my onward purchase in terms of purchasing my next house. So compelling, do you and your team have a powerful, irresistible effect where it becomes a no-brainer that clients are just going to choose you? Value is about 2 things, return on investment and return on expectation. And you'll see in a moment when we talk about how this translates into when you're sat in the living room and the customer says, I've got one question for you, and how well you answer this question will determine whether I move to the next stage of the process or whether I appoint you as my estate agent. And the question is simply this: why you? How good would you be at answering that question? How good would your team be at answering the question? And if we recorded everybody doing that, how consistent in terms of representing your brand would the answer to that question be? Why should I choose you? And I believe that every single estate agency business should have 3 compelling reasons in answer to that question around why I should choose you or go with you as my estate agent. And when you see in a moment the 3 reasons that we have on the Power Bespoke website, and I guarantee one thing, we could bring any of the Power Bespoke team onto this session now and put them on the spot, put the spotlight on them and say, why should people choose Power Bespoke? And I guarantee one thing, every one of them will say the same answer in the same way. Yes, they'll put their own slight stamp on it in terms of their energy levels or what they say, but the wording will be the same. And that drills into this whole point about what's the return on investment, return on expectation. Guys, we're going to give you the snapshot of this because this is a really detailed session that we do on boot camps, on growth mastery, on the one-day masterclasses that we run. And of course, your proposition is what's our products and services. And we're going to give you a golden nugget in terms of a additional product or service that I bet you are not providing today, which is a quick win that you can take away. So translate that. So my question for you is, how compelling is your compelling value proposition about why customers or clients should choose you, whichever one of those two that you use. So when that translates into the reason about why clients choose us, and yeah, I use this all the time, and even though I'm not in the living room every single day, I would be confident going into the living room at 2 o'clock, even though I don't do estate agents every single day, and talking to a client about why they should choose Power Bespoke based on these 3 reasons. Perry, you're better off talking to this because it's your baby.
I'm glad you asked, Royston, because I wish more sellers would ask us that question. Your house is beautiful, as we can see, and anybody can sell it for you, Mr. Smith. What we're going to bring to the table is that we've majored in negotiation ability and expertise. All of our team are certified advanced negotiators, which means that on average, we're going to achieve 3.9% more for your property versus a national average estate agency. And then we're going to apply that expertise onto your property purchase, and we're going to save you on average £23,300, which is 6.6%. And best of all, we're never going to tie you in, so you can walk away whenever you like if we're not delivering. Do you want to sign?
Done. I'm up. I'm in. Where do I sign?
It's great, really, because all we've done with that, right? So what I done early on with Power Bespoke, right, is I realised that there's some drawbacks to us, so let's make them our winning things, right? So we were never going to have majority market share because market share was never something we were chasing. So let's make that to our advantage. We don't really want the house that someone wants to buy to be for sale through us. So, because we want to negotiate it for them against Joe Blogg's estate agency. So the fundamental skill, I believe, that you're bringing someone's move isn't pro photography, a nice sexy video that gets a load of views on Facebook when 99% of people watching it aren't looking to buy a house. They're just looking at houses because houses are good to look at. So it's the negotiation. It's the ability, the skill, the expertise to negotiate clients the best possible outcome, whether that be on a sale and a purchase, just a sale or just a purchase. So when you come at it from that level, then you think, right, so I need all our team to be highly skilled in negotiation. How do I do that? Then how do I present that to the market? And best of all, most agents tie people in. So the best thing you can do for people to make it a no-brainer is say, and if at any point, we haven't got a 7-day notice period, we've got a 7-second notice period. If at any point something's not going right, we click a button and guess what? It's off the internet and we're off the case. So there we go. The CVP is really important to have all the team, and it's so simple. I keep saying it to people. I'm no university degree person. Estate agency is super simple. I'm very simple. It's just not easy. And simplicity is complicated in itself.
And as we talk about, Perry, simplicity is genius. Simplicity scales, complexity fails. And what you've done a great job of is taking that concept of CVP and breaking it down into 3. And back to the point, people have got the capacity to remember 3 things. And this is real, because this is what Perry and I do every single day. And I guess the difference with Perry and I against others in the estate agency market is Perry is building Power Bespoke and has a phenomenally successful business in terms of what he's doing with Power Bespoke. I'm out there with clients every single day. We are practitioners who are walking the talk of this stuff every single day. This is not about the theory of it. This is about the practical application. And I don't know anybody else who's in the estate agency market trying to do coaching who are so on the dance floor in the businesses, making this stuff live every single day. So I was laughing when Perry was talking about that, because this is my iPad. I have literally this morning, an accountancy business in Jersey brought me in because they went, Royston, we've seen your bit about CVP. We can't in our minds 3 succinct reasons about our CVP. So I did a 90-minute masterclass breakfast session with the whole of their team this morning, and we came up with these 3 things about why their accountancy practice. Number 1, we are personable. We are business owners first. We talk the language of business owners. We think, act, feel like business leaders. So we understand your world. It just so happens that we are specialists in accountancy and finance as well. Number 1. Number 2, we are financial storytellers. And the point that's sat underneath that is we're financial storytellers because Xero and QuickBooks can produce all your numbers. That's not what the role of the accountant is today. What we're going to do is 3 things. We're going to tell you what the numbers mean. We're going to tell you what you need to do. And we're going to give you the 3 meaningful measures that matter that you need to focus on in order to move the needle and move the dials on your business. Love that one. And then the third thing they said was, we are accountable, your low maintenance partner. We will be one step ahead of you. Our experience, which Perry talked about earlier, is outstanding. If you ever have to put a call into us asking us where this is or where we're at with this, then we've not got our job right. You can sack us at any point. So straight away we did this, and the energy in the room was off the scale. So this is such a powerful exercise to do. And I would take it back to your teams that said, right, let's frame it up. If we're in the living room and a customer says, why us? What are those 3 compelling reasons that your team can package and position with conviction, with authority, with confidence, with believability that just blows the competition out of the water and gets the client to go, this is a no-brainer. We're going to choose you. And if there's one thing that you take away from this session today, if you did this and got this bit right, that would make a massive difference to your win rates in advice meeting to listing.
Love that.
And that, just to reinforce that, what's clear out the back of this is, and again, one of the things that's really important on Power Agency is businesses don't grow on their own, leaders grow businesses. And this might be a hard message to reflect and think about when you look in your own mirror, that a lot of the time when Perry and I work with clients, it's not the business that's the problem, it's the leader that's the problem. They've stopped growing, they've lost their way, and therefore they're actually becoming the blocker, which is holding the business back from realizing its full potential. In our scaling up programs and boot camps, people by the end of the day have got that expression almost, rubber stamped on their foreheads. Businesses don't grow on their own. Leaders grow businesses. You need to be growing ahead of the business in order to help unlock its potential and unlock the potential in your team. And we talk on about the purposeful leader. And part of the purposeful leader is great leaders today are data driven. So what was interesting when Perry talked about that was he didn't just talk about the 3 reasons. The numbers were in there that gave it believability. This year, we are tracking on average 3.9% more for your property than the national average. On average, with the onward negotiations that we've done this year, we save on average £23,300, which is 6% on your onward negotiation. That might be more or less for you, but that's the average of what we've got. The numbers give it believability. And absolutely one of the things that comes through the Power Agency is leaders need to be more data driven because it will give you cut through. It allows you to make better quality decisions, and it allows you to get to where the opportunities and the challenges are in your business far quicker. So are we going to talk about 2 quick win growth levers to implement, Perry? Because I am conscious we've got 15 minutes left and these are absolute golden nuggets.
Yes. So the first quick win is that one. Understand that what you bring to people's move is expert negotiation ability. Everything else is just fluff around it. I strongly believe that, if your marketing's subpar, if your pricing was a little bit wrong, it'll all be clawed back when you get that offer from somebody and you negotiate the best possible outcome for your client. And everybody should at least be offering an onward negotiation service. So let's go on to that next slide, Reg. It should be the fundamental way. I put in the email to everybody how to increase your fee by at least 50% immediately. And that is by increasing your percentage fee. So if you're charging 1 now, start charging 1.5. If you're charging 1.5, start charging 2. And including the onward negotiation service in that higher fee. Because what you're doing with that, you're increasing your fee, but you're increasing the value that you bring as well. So a good example is a recent signed agreement at 2% plus 20% plus VAT of the saving we negotiate off the client's onward purchase. The great thing with this is it will only be applicable to probably half of your sellers. I reckon if you look at your numbers, probably half of your sellers are buying on. So there's no reason not to do it. When you say to them, are you excited about negotiating your next property purchase, Mr. Smith? Most are going to say no. Most are going to say I'm petrified. They should never be negotiating when there's emotion involved, period. So they leave it to you. And you're not even necessarily got to charge them for it. You just include it in your higher value sale fee. Does that make sense? So not only am I going to get you a higher sale price, Mr. Smith, here's the data, independently verified, take a look. I'm also going to help you save, and I'm going to negotiate against the experienced negotiator that seller's employed to try and get you to pay the highest price. I'm going to help you pay the lowest price. So that's a massive quick win. And there's a whole, once you get that bit done, the rest is a lot easier, because then you can start charging for it as a standalone service. You can start charging for your time by the hour for the consultancy side of it and expertise. But this is the first bit. Be bold about your fee, be proud of it, but just make sure it's adding huge amounts of value.
So we launched this on our Scaling Up program about a week ago, didn't we, Perry? Two weeks ago, maybe? And it's really interesting. One of the clients on us is on the program is an estate agency business in Jersey. And they have already got their team who have signed up clients for the onward negotiation service and have already got opportunities where they are now acting on behalf of the client in order to do the negotiation. And it's like that, bang, quick win. And I think there's a couple of assumptions with this without going into too much detail, because this is a whole session in itself. But today's about the seed plant. The assumption that you've really got to buy in from a mindset perspective with this is that you are an expert in negotiation. And that's why at some point in the future, the estate agency industry is going to be regulated, and you will need some qualification in order to be regulated to be an estate agent. We are booking the trend with that because we already get people on an advanced negotiation skills program, get them certified, certificated sounds some kind of like ritual, doesn't it? Certified, certificated. And, when you're in the living room, what a great differentiation to the competition to be able to say, any other estate agent that comes in, ask them whether they are a qualified, certificated, expert negotiator. And if they're not, then why would you be using them? So there's an assumption that you absolutely, passionately, cut you in two, believe that you are an expert negotiator. And then if you believe that, then if 50% of your clients' houses or customers that you sold houses for last year were going to make an onward negotiation, why would you put them in a position where you're only delivering 50% of your service proposition? Because if you haven't got an onward negotiation service, in essence, that is what you're doing to those customers. And as Perry and I always talk about, there's two things you should never do. Number one, it doesn't matter how good your negotiation skills are. If you've got emotional skin in the game, never negotiate on something where there's an emotional intensity, where your negotiation skills are going to be clouded because you've got emotional skin in the game. Which is why, even if you've got clients who are or think they're good at negotiation, you should always be acting on their behalf for that onward negotiation. And honestly, I've used this whole strategy about maximization and how you can increase the average order value of every deal. And I think for a estate agency, this is an absolute golden nugget, because it doesn't require you to have any more clients. We're not saying you've got to go out there and win another 100 listings. What we're saying is you've already got the clients. How many houses did you sell last year? How many went to make an onward negotiation? If you won 50% of those in terms of the onward negotiation, and you negotiated a 20% risk reversal saving on the fee, how much could that generate? And the great thing is, a lot of that will hit your bottom line because you're not having to acquire more customers to do it. It's an absolute no-brainer. So this, for me, is one of the biggest things that on our programs is going through the why, the what, and the how of this. It takes time to implement it. There's 3 different ways you do it. But today we just wanted to plant the seed. But if you want to know more about how to implement the onward next service in your business, come and talk to us, because it is an absolute golden nugget, and it will give you market differentiation in your area and allow you to differentiate yourselves from the competition.
And that one's huge. Like, even if you sold 50 properties last year and 25 were buying on, if you charge them 10% of saving and saved them 10 grand, that's 25,000 quid straight to your profitability, because there's no cost associated. There's no photography, right move, blah, blah, blah. It's just a bit of extra time. But once you've developed your purchase negotiation strategy, which we go through on the programs. So the next one about fees is be massively proud and transparent with it. Stick it all over your website. Stick it in your advice meeting confirmation emails. Stick it everywhere, because why wouldn't you? it amazes me that in 2025 that you've probably got more chance of booking lunch with the king than you have finding estate agents' fees without ringing them up. And it just is in this convenient, how easy I used to do business with world. People don't want that, do they? They want to go on your website, go to your fees page. It's legal. It's a legal requirement for lettings and landlords now. That hasn't yet transferred over to sales, but it probably will. But let's get ahead of the curve. Let's be the innovators and let's put it all over our website and be like, this is why, because we achieve higher prices, we save you on your next house. It's actually, our fees are too low, really. So it's really important to be proud about it. And that's what Royston said, you know, you have to believe you are the best negotiator in the world. If you don't believe that, we need to get you believing that first, whatever that takes, whether it's more training, more knowledge, more certification, whatever it might be. Because if you don't believe it, you can't expect anyone else to believe it.
And that's about conviction and passion in what you do. So here's my bold call. I absolutely passionately believe that Power Agency and Perry and I are the most relevant individuals in the estate agency market right now if you've got a passion or a desire to grow and scale an estate agency business. Now, I don't say that from a position of arrogance. I just know the combination of what we have and all the tools that we have in our armory, growth mastery, the scaling up, all the boot camps that we have. I know we are so many estate agents get to where they want to be and create more life and more freedom, more choices. And if you don't believe, like cut yourself in two, don't believe that, then how are you ever going to sell that when you're in the living room? You've got to have conviction, belief, passion, authority in what you do.
Yeah, I love it.
So, Power Agency, this is the new face of our business. We just want to share this with you. This is not been officially launched in the marketplace. This is part of our soft launch that we're doing at the moment. But some of you may know that Perry and I have been doing boot camps. We've been working in the estate agency for a number of years. Well, actually, with Kate joining us, what we are doing now is we are doubling down. You know, the marketplace is challenging, but what a challenging marketplace does, it really differentiates the great estate agency businesses from the rest. So this is the time where you can really stand out. This is a time to double down. This is a time to really invest in making sure your business is set up for success, developing your skills as a leader, getting ahead of your growth curve to be the best that you can be. So what Kate, Perry and I have been working on for the last few weeks is the Power Agency brand. What is our value proposition? How can we double down, throw the boomerang out there and add more value for more estate agents, for business leaders, for the teams, in really starting to put the platform down to crack on and really move through the gears in building your businesses. So what our passion is, this is where serious estate agents hang out, connect and grow. If you're serious about growing your business, if you're serious about being the best leader you can be, then, you know, come and spend time with us, because we are there to support, to help you, to unlock your potential, to unleash the success, and to help you to crack on to the next stage of your growth journey. So, Perry, do you want to talk about these couple of babies?
Yes, that ties in really well. Every year we run, usually for the bootcamp attendees, the advanced negotiation certification training. So anyone that attends it ends up with their advanced negotiation certificate. Go on our website, go on our agents page, and you'll see that all our agents have got their own certificates. I think it's a really important thing to quantify, you know, to show clients. And that's running on the 8th of May. The morning session sold out with 37 agents on it, I think, but the afternoon session has some space left on it. So Kate will circulate the link to that if you want to jump on it. If nothing else, it will give your team more confidence to skip down the road saying that they're the best negotiators they've ever come across in their life. It goes a bit deeper around negotiation structuring and planning and being ahead of it, and a bit of an LP thrown in. It's all really a great, I've done it the last 7 years in a row because I sit on it every time I organize it and I absolutely love it. And I always go into it taking away 3 more things from it that I didn't take last time I'd done it. So if you can't sit there and say, I've spent, it used to be a whole day session. I've done 7 days. So what's that? 7 times, say it's a 10-hour day, 70 hours in the last however long committed to negotiation expertise. I'm pretty sure no other agent in the country has spent that amount of time. So I'm I can be confident that I'm the best negotiator they're probably going to ever come across. So book on, ultimately. Be there. It's going to be great.
And the great thing is, this is an online session, so it's I think the afternoon session is 1 till 4:30, isn't it, Perry?
1:30 till 4:30, yeah.
Yeah, 1:30. So it's a 3-hour, high intensive. But I guarantee one thing: what you know with Perry and I is there's no fat or fill in there. So what we do in 3 hours, other people would take a day to do. But it's fast paced, it's high value add, and it will give them the practical skills. So that's the advanced negotiation skills. And then the other one, which is exciting, is and again, Kate will put the link in down below. If you want to register interest for our growth mastery, which is happening in June, this is the how to master the art of unstoppable growth and turn potential into profit. This is all our growth hacks. This is all our strategies that we've tested over the last 7 years in the estate agency market, all packaged in a intensive 2 days. So you will go away with a toolkit of all the growth strategies that you can customize, personalize, apply to your business. And if you don't get a 10x return from growth mastery, then our risk reversal is we'll give you your money back. That's how much we believe in the power of growth mastery. So at this stage, it's just about registering your interest. We haven't sent the details out yet. This is hot off the press. But if you are interested in understanding more about what growth mastery is, then Kate will put the link in. Just fill in your details. And when we've got the funnel and we've got all the details built, we will send them to you. So you've got advanced notification. It will be limited places. Perry and I like to work with intensive groups of smaller people so we can really add value and make a difference. But that's going to be in June.
And the important thing with that is we talk about, start onward negotiating, but the nuts and bolts and intricacies and the terms of business and the touch points and the reminders and how you position it through your team, through your culture, it goes really deep. And so that's where we got time to go deeper on these events. So you walk away the day after with an implemented onward negotiation strategy, which I think is the best way anyone could innovate in a market where all that agents seems to be doing right now is pulling their pants down on fees. You have to go the other way. I was really amazed to see those figures that over the last 5 years, fees have dropped by 20%. Ours have increased by 20%. And I think that's largely to do with the onward negotiation and the buyer agency work that we're doing.
And a lot with fees, Perry, we'll close out on this, but a lot for fees come back. If you don't believe in the value that you bring to the party, you're never going to charge the right fee in the marketplace. And it is a mindset. So much of life is 80% of success is about mindset and psychology. 20% is a skill. So where Perry and I are really strong is not only about how we enable you with the skills and the tools and the precise wording that you use and all this, but it's about how do we enable the mindset to build the confidence, to get the core so strong, to get your belief up and in your teams that they absolutely can talk about their fees with conviction. You can't be apologetic when you're positioning fees. If you truly believe in the value that you bring, then when you talk about your fees, it will come across with conviction, authority, and power. So, as always, what's your one key action that you're taking away? I think we talked about sharing 3 things, but I think there's so many golden nuggets, hopefully, that you have taken away. Please pick your top one thing and do something with it. That's the important part. I always think with sessions like this, if in an hour you've got 2 or 3 golden nuggets and you can go and take those and put them into action and get the flywheel turning, then that's a good mark of a webinar that has added value. Any final thoughts from the power?
No, all good. We'll for people, there's a lot of people that registered, but they definitely couldn't make it today. So the recording, even to people that have been live on it, will get the recording when this ends. Plus, we'll send an email follow up with the links to the advanced negotiation, the growth mastery, and just absolutely kill it. Have a great rest of the month, and let's do it.
And can I end on a final quote, Perry?
Yeah.
Never downgrade your reality to fit your current state. Upgrade your conviction in order to match your destiny. Raise the bar. Get focused on adding more value, throwing the boomerang out there, adding more value to your clients than they ever thought possible. And the rewards bowl will take care of itself. We've just got to double down in really focusing on being the best estate agents that we can be today. Never downgrade your conviction to match your current reality. Upgrade your conviction to match your destiny. That's my final message. Have a great weekend, guys. Thank you, Kate, for organising, and we will hopefully see you on one of our programmes. Any questions, fire them through to us. You know, Perry here, and I are here to support.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.